Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Chris Coltrin. I'm going to be your teacher for your online Art 203 class this summer. Many of you already know me, so hi. If you do, for those of you who don't know me, there's a decent chance you're going to have to get to because if you're an art major here at Shepherd, which probably most of you are, this isn't the only class you have to take with me. Sorry. Either way, this is kind of good because when I teach a couple different classes online. When I teach the online Art 103 classes, it's students that I never really get to meet in person, but most of you I either already know or will get to know. So that's nice because one of the challenges of an online education is just having any kind of connection or relationship with your students. So this is a little bit better way of doing it because most of you, like I said, either do know or will have to get to know me. So welcome to Online Art 203. I hope that this summer is productive for you and you're able to learn a lot of stuff that will make you better artists along the way. I just want to make this video to go over some of the nuts and bolts of the class. Now I have most of it typed up, very organized in the orientation section of Sakai and also in the syllabus. That being said, sometimes it helps to hear things out loud, and with online classes, sometimes there's little things you can tweak right at the beginning that make a huge difference in the long run. So just want to make sure I cover all that stuff. So as you'll see going forward, this is really my attempt to take what I do in the classroom in Art 203 and translate it as directly as I can to the online environment. A lot of the assignments are very similar. The lectures are pretty much identical, except you're watching them on your computer screen instead of sitting in my classroom. There's a couple of differences. I can't make you memorize things very well in online education, darn it. So you get off the hook for that. But I have a few other things that we can do in online classes that are harder to do in regular class. So there's a few different things we do, but for the most part, it's about 90%, I would say, the same as just sitting in my classroom in GO3 here at Shepherd. Now, I've been doing online education for a few years now, and in the past, whether it's successful or not with students hinges on a couple things. One is your expectations going into it. Online classes have a reputation for being easy. For those of you who know me, I'm guessing you can bet that I don't have just like an easy version of my online class that I let some students take. And I don't. It's pretty much just about as hard, so sorry for that. But you got to learn something. So this is not that. There might be some easy online classes out there from what I hear, but mine isn't that. Mine's pretty much a regular class, but using your computer. If you have the things you really need for this class is, first of all, you need initiative because there isn't a designated time to show up in the classroom. I don't see you sitting there and take a role. You just have to do it. You have to stay in charge of yourself, and now I have to complete these tasks by this date. Therefore, I need to devote this much time to it. And you need to be really organized. You need to know when the due dates are, what you have to complete, and you need to be organized with your own time and book it accordingly. If you can do those things, if you take initiative, if you're organized, I think it can be a really positive experience. The syllabus is really important for this class because it's sort of one of those lifelines that we have. You want to know what anything is, it's all in the syllabus. You can always default to that. But you're the one that has to figure that out. And for those of you who have me for regular classes, every class I kind of tell you, like, okay, here's your homework for next class, and make sure you're studying this and start reading this book. There's not really any of that here. It's all in the syllabus, and you just have to know when it's coming and stay organized. If you haven't read over the orientation section already, which you probably have if you found this video, but maybe you scrolled to the bottom, cheating. If you did cheat, it's okay that this is the one acceptable form of cheating in this class. Go back and read that because it spells out exactly how the class is going to operate, so make sure you read over it very thoroughly. A few tips of things you need to be doing this summer. Make sure you check your Shepherd email address because that's the way I'll communicate with you through Sakai, so make sure you check it regularly. I will do my best to respond to emails within 24 hours if it's during the week. Give me a little leeway on the weekends because sometimes I don't check for a day or two on the weekends. So give me 48 hours on the weekend, but other than that, I'm pretty good to respond. You need to make sure you have reliable computer access and good internet access. I'm going to be showing you some of the greatest works of art of all time. They look terrible on a phone with a screen that's that big or on a YouTube screen that's that big. So do two things. Make sure you have a good computer and internet, and make sure you click on the full screen button on YouTube so you see the paintings and the sculptures in all of their 15-inch glory instead of like 3-inch glory. So make sure you have not only computer and internet access, but a backup plan if that one goes out. A computer lab, the library, mom's house, whatever it might be. You can't send me an email part with your class and be like, yeah, my computer died, so I guess I just don't have to do the work now. It doesn't work that way. So you need to find another source. The videos are pretty high quality, meaning they're kind of big files, so you need a decent internet connection to stream them effectively in order to see the paintings clearly, so they're not all like pixelated and or the video is constantly buffering, which is horribly negative when it comes to trying to learn something. So, okay. One of the things you need to do right off the bat is you need to buy a book. You need to buy Basilica. It's the same book I have my in-class students read, so some of you might have already read it before, possibly a couple of you. If not, you do it now. It's a book about the building of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, which is the most important Christian church in the world. And it takes about 200 years to build it, from about 1500 to almost 1700. And woven through its construction are some of the greatest artists of all time, artists like Michelangelo and Raphael and Bernini, and really iconic artists. And the amazing thing about this building is it also is so connected with the world events. The construction of this building changes history in really dramatic ways. It's a pretty easy book to read. It's written for just anybody to pick up, not for like art historians. It's a pretty exciting narrative. So we will be reading that in our second module, and I'll explain what that means in a minute. But basically, we'll be reading it starting in about 3 weeks. So the bookstore has copies. You can find it online pretty easily. Make sure you get the book Basilica by the author R.A. Scotti. It's in your syllabus. Double check it. There is a crime novel, thriller, murder book I found out last semester called Basilica, which I had a student buy and read and be very confused. So don't buy that version. Make sure you got the right version of Basilica. The last thing I want to mention is at the bottom of the orientation. Sorry, not the last thing. I got a few more things. But the last thing I want to mention before I talk about what the modules look like is at the bottom of the orientation section, there's a couple links to some videos about plagiarism. If you don't know what plagiarism is, watch those videos. If you do know what plagiarism is, watch those videos. I have like 10 times as many people who plagiarize in my online classes than do in my regular classes. I guess because you don't have to see me, you're more comfortable cheating, I suppose. I don't know. Whatever it is, it happens a lot in my online classes. And I hate it when it happens because I'm going to email you and say, yeah, you cheated. And I don't like doing that. But I do it if you do it, so try to not do so. Basically, if you're typing something up for one of my assignments or for your midterm or your final for this class, just type it yourself. Don't Google it and try to find somebody else who wrote something else about it and then copy what they said. That's plagiarism, so just don't do that. If you get caught plagiarizing once, you get a 0 on that assignment and a stern warning, and I reserve the right to remove some more points from your participation grade as well. If you get caught twice, you fail the class automatically. So just don't do it, and then you won't fail the class automatically. Okay. One other thing. You need the book Basilica. You also will need, for, I think, just one video, you need access to Netflix. Most of you have that now. If you can find the video somewhere that's not Netflix, then I suppose you can do that too. But I think most of the videos I've been able to find online at free places, YouTube, but I think there's one that I still can only find on Netflix. So most people have that already, but if you don't, see if you can get it or find the video somewhere else. Okay, so let me describe how it's going to work. So we've got all summer. I used to teach this class in half the summer, and it was really not good. There's way too much. You just can't do it effectively, and everybody's miserable. So we decided to stretch it out, which, while it means it's longer for you to do it, it means it's less intense. It means if you have like a week vacation at the beach, that's okay, because you don't have to finish everything in that week. Basically, the way it works is, we have about the length of a regular semester. We just have it in the summer. So I divide the class into what I call 4 modules. Each module will take place over a 3-week period. Okay, so kind of like 3-week chunks over the course of the summer. Let me describe for you what you need to accomplish during each module. So during 3 weeks. Everything will be due on the Friday night at midnight at the end of the 3-week period. So just so you know, Friday night at midnight is the due date. Make sure I have the tasks you need to do all arranged in a specific order in the lessons section of Sakai. Make sure you do them in that order. If I tell you to read something before watching a video, do that, or it's not going to make as much sense. Sometimes I'll have you watch a documentary before watching my lecture. Whatever order I put them in, just do them in that order. Okay. So in your 3-week period, you have 4 lectures to watch. Okay, so that's 4 videos of me talking to the screen, showing you art. They usually range between about an hour to 2 hours, usually about an hour and a half on average. So you got 4 of those to watch. So just imagine it's like going to class 4 times in a 3-week period, which is pretty good because normally you have to go to class 6 times in a 3-week period. So you're already ahead of the game here. You're doing well. So you watch 4 lectures from me. You will also be watching somewhere between 1 to 3 documentaries that are kind of like just part of the lecture, basically. And I should say, really important for this class, when you're watching my lectures and when you're watching those documentaries, take notes. As I'll talk about in a minute, you'll take a quiz at the end of the module. It's an open note quiz. They're really hard to do without notes. They're really hard to do even if you watch the lectures carefully, but you don't take good notes. They're hard to get good scores on. But if you watch the lectures and take good notes, they're not that hard to get good scores on. So just make sure you do those 2 things. So you'll do 4 lectures, 1 to 3 documentaries. You will have something to read for every module. So you'll have an article or a book chapter or something along those lines. And if I have you read something, the only way I know you've read it is if you write something and show me you've read it. So every time you read something, you'll write what I call a reading response. It's a 1-page paper. If you've had me for any class before, be pretty familiar. You've done them for me before. Single space, 1 page. Sometimes I'll just ask you to summarize the main points the author made. Sometimes I'll ask you specific questions to kind of respond to. Those questions or that information will be embedded on a website that we're going to be using. That, again, if you've had me before, you've probably used before. It's called turnitin.com. One of your first tasks for the class is to set up an account there and to connect your account to our class. So you have all the assignments, and that's where you will submit all of your assignments. Sakai is good for some things. It's not really good for me grading papers. So Turnitin is much better. First of all, it's plagiarism catching software, so sorry, that's how I catch you usually. But more importantly, it just allows me to give you more specific feedback and grade your papers and get them back to you in a more efficient manner. So 1 page, single space response. If I have a question I want you to ask, or if I just tell you to summarize, all that information is embedded with the link on turnitin.com for the assignment. We will be having a discussion forum, and for each module, there will be a topic I post, and you need to post 3 times. 1, like your response to my question, and then you need to respond to 2 other people's posts as well. So 3 posts total. Each post is worth 5 points, so you get 15 points per discussion forum. And as long as you make some effort, you'll be fine with those points. I give them away. Just don't be stupid and say things like, I agree with Susie, and nothing else. That doesn't count. You got to tell me what Susie said that's interesting and why you agree with her, and then I'll give you the 5 points. And then one thing I have you do in this class, which I don't do in the regular class because I can't make you memorize things. In place of that, I have you do what I call contemporary touchstone projects. What that is it's a way to try to look at how art history is affecting the world today in some way. You might watch a documentary on a contemporary artist who does something that's similar to something we see in history or something like that, and I have you write a little paper about that. So again, you have got one more little assignment to complete in that 3-week period. And then the last thing you need to do is you need to take the quiz. As I mentioned, at the end of each module, there's a multiple choice quiz. There's 15 questions. I'll give you 25 minutes to complete it, which is just enough time for you to look through your notes thoroughly, but not enough time to totally cheat and rewatch the lectures. I should let you know the questions I asked are not very Googleable, so get that out of your head. It's not going to work. You're not going to have time to rewatch the whole lecture, so just watch the lecture and take notes. Just be thorough. Take your time on the quizzes. And it's also a good idea before the quiz to kind of review your notes, to look back through them, just to remind yourself of what we talked about in the previous 3 weeks. If it takes you 3 weeks to do all this stuff, you can do it in 1 week if you want, for all I care. But if it takes you 3 weeks, then look back. Okay, so to summarize, 4 online lectures, 1 to 3 documentaries. You got something to read, which means you have a paper to write based on the reading. A contemporary touchstone usually is a documentary to watch and a paper to write. You need to make a post and then 2 follow-up posts in the discussion forum and take the quiz. But remember, you've got 3 weeks to do all that stuff. So if you book it, if you put in, 2 to 4 hours twice a week in those 3 weeks, you'll be fine. And you'll have plenty of time to do everything. The one module, probably the most intense module, is the second module. So it takes place kind of like late June to early July, if I remember right. That's the one you're going to be reading the book Basilica in. So that reading assignment is a little bit longer than the other one. So just be aware of that. But again, you've got 3 weeks, and that's plenty of time, just as much time as you have to do it in my regular class. So I don't feel too bad for you. So if you want to read it at the beach, you can. So that's one benefit. Okay. I don't have regular office hours during the summer, but I'm going to be around most of the time, so I can come in if I need to. If you want an appointment, just send me an email, and I'll try to get back with you and let you know when I can come in. If you would really prefer to take the quizzes on paper in person, I can usually try to arrange to make that happen as well, but you just have to let me know. That way, some people just struggle with the time constraint, or the online environment makes them all nervous. So if you want to come to my office and circle bubbles on a paper instead, I'll try to figure out how to set it up so I can be in to administer the quizzes to you. So my last little note I have for this little introduction is, the thing I hate worst about online classes is I have to totally assume you're always trying to cheat your way through it, which is sad, but it's also can be true. Not because you're bad people. You're all great people. I'm sure some of you I know are. Some of you I don't know yet, but you probably are. But, if you can cheat and it's easy and there's very slim chance you're going to get caught, the reality is most people are going to do it. And in a lot of online classes, it's the way it works. The thing I hate about that is it sets up a confrontational relationship between me and you. I never know. I don't know if you're watching the videos. I don't know if you're doing the readings. I don't know if you're doing anything in the class, to be honest. If you're in my regular class, I know if you are, because I see you sitting in the chair. I see you sleeping or being awake. All that stuff I know because I see you. I don't see you here. So the only way I know if you've actually watched the online lectures is if you do well on the quizzes. So I have to write questions that challenge you and make it difficult to answer unless you really have watched the lectures. So I hate that I have to do that. I'm sorry. But it's the only way I know whether you've actually put in the time and deserve to get a passing grade in the class and you've learned something. So I apologize if it seems that way. Like I said, I try to do things, if you want to take them in person, I'm fine to make that happen. I try to do things in case that's a huge barrier for you to make it so you can still succeed in the class. If you have any questions on anything, feel free to email me. I'll try to get back to you. But start moving on things. I know 3 weeks sounds like a lot of time, but there are a lot of tasks there. Book your time and start moving through it and stay on top of it, and you will be fine. Oh, sorry, I said that was the last thing. I totally lied. One more thing. You do have a midterm and a final in this class, so after the second module, I will give you a question. You need to write a 3-page essay in response to that question, and the same thing will happen at the end of the summer. If you've had me for any other classes, it's going to be very familiar. The essay questions and the way I have you structure them are pretty much identical to other classes I teach. Basically, I'll give you a question. You've got about a week to write a 3-page essay in response where you utilize evidence from the class lectures, from the documentaries, from readings, kind of to answer this big, complicated question in the best way you can. I also have a little online video we have in the resources section of Sakai called the Writing Workshop, where I kind of walk you through exactly how to write this essay. So I try to make it pretty clear. If you have questions for me while you're writing it, or if you want me to look over a draft or an outline, I'm happy to try to do that via email as well. Just don't do it like the night before it's due, because I'm probably not going to get back to you in time. Okay, all right. Good luck with everything. I hope you have a good time. If you have any questions, send me an email and let me know. Okay, bye.